Doctor Who's logos have changed a lot over the years, from simple designs to this. And as much as us fans love the show, we don't always love the logo. So today I'm going to break the internet. I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to blow your minds. I'm going to go where no YouTuber has dared go before. I'm doing a tier list. Now before we begin, I'd like to say thanks for the attention my last video got. Check it out if you missed it. And whilst I'm on that subject, feel free to subscribe and like if you like. I'm on the road to 100 subscribers and any support would be much appreciated. Anyway, onwards. Here's a tier list made by yours truly. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to make your own rankings. Make sure to tweet me yours at cloud_who1 on Twitter, but I digress. The tiers are yes, meh, no, and why don't you just die? Pretty self-explanatory. Oh yeah means that the logo is pretty much perfect. Yes means it's good but not as good as the ones above for whatever reason. Meh means that it's decent but missing something. It doesn't get you excited, it's just meh. No means it's just bad. Not awful, but it just doesn't work. Why don't you just die means it's so bad that it's actually offensive. It needs to be wiped from history. So let's get stuck in. Logo 1, 1963 to 1967. Now this logo was obviously the logo that started to show off in 1963 in An Unearthly Child. It's bold and it's simple, and that works for it and against it. It may be a bit too basic, and its effect is detracted from what comes after being so much better. It also looks a little bit dated with its basic font and lack of any sort of shield or special design to it. It's not memorable at all, but it is easy to recreate, and it is obviously the OG logo. This logo lasted until Moonbase in the second Doctor's era. It also reappeared in the Day of the Doctor for the 50th anniversary. Now I think this logo is good for the time, but it's a bit too basic for me. It looks quite dated and it's just a bit meh. But that doesn't mean I'm putting it in the meh category. In fact, I'm putting it in no. Logo 2, 1967 to 1970. They decided to change the logo midway through the second Doctor's era, with the font being adjusted to Times New Roman. It remains similar with a heavier font on the Who part of the word. However, this heaviness is less than in the 1963 variation. The logo first appeared in the Macra Terror and lasted until the War Games, which was the second Doctor's final story. This logo is an improvement on the previous one, but it's still quite basic, average in my opinion. Therefore, I'll be putting it in meh. Logo 3, 1970 to 1973. This logo marked Doctor Who's first episodes in colour, and as an effect of this, we had a complete redesign of the logo. The Who part still remains heavier, with the specially commissioned font proving to be potentially the most recognisable logo the show has ever seen. It first appeared in Spearhead from Space and lasted until The Green Death, with a variation of this logo being used in the 1996 television movie. I really like this logo. It feels like the best logo potentially ever, and because of that, it's going into Logo 4, 1973 till 1980. Now as you can see, this logo was the longest lasting logo we've ever had, and once again it's a complete redesign from the previous variation. This makes it very unique once again. This is another logo which has a shout to be potentially the most recognisable one that we've ever had. This logo is very popular amongst fans, as has been made clear by the reaction to a remake of this logo for the 60th anniversary and beyond. The Who part is still heavy, however this logo is the first one to be based upon a shape/shield background. First appeared in the third Doctor story, The Time Warrior, and ended in the Horns of Nemon. This logo used new slit scan technology and, as previously stated, was the longest lasting logo ever. I'd say this logo is brilliant. I think it's really unique and special and deservedly gets placed in Logo 5, 1980 to 1984. Now, at this point we had a complete reimagination of the logo once again, with a neon style being used. This logo is very space-based and gives me very big 80s vibes. As has become the standard within classic Who logos, the Who part is heavier than the Doctor part. The logo first appeared in the Leisure Hives, lasting until the Caves of Androzani, overseeing the 4th and 5th Doctors. This logo is decent, but it does feel like it's missing something. The white is a little bit too bright and the font is just a bit alright. Therefore I think this logo goes in meh. Logo 6, 1984 to 1986. Now this logo has just slightly tweaked the previous design, adding colour to the previous one and tilting the logo a bit more. I think keeping the 80s space vibe is very good, but this logo expands upon it. It first appeared in Twin Dilemma, which is a bit of a monstrosity, and was used up until The Ultimate Foe, covering the 6th Doctor's era. I think this is a big improvement on the previous logo and makes it less bright and adds the things that were missing. Therefore I'm willing to bump this one up slightly to yes. Logo 7, 1987 to 1989. Now this logo is different to say the least. It is trying to do much if we're being completely honest. The Doctor is in gold script font whilst the Who is in thick set sans serif font. It's got a CGI heavy vibe, once again very 80s, but not in a good way. There's a red glow effect on the Who which makes it stand out, not in a good way. The Who is once again heavy, but I think this is probably the heaviest the Who has ever been. This logo first appeared in Time of the Rani, lasting until Survival, but also appeared in Dimensions in Time, which is debatable whether it's canon. This logo covered the entirety of the 7th Doctor's era, leading us to the end of Classic Who. It's definitely trying to do too much. It's a little bit ugly, this logo, I won't lie, and it's definitely dated. It has to go, and why don't you just die? Logo 8, 1996. As previously stated, this logo is a remake of the 3rd Doctor's logo. It's very similar, but there's been some slight adjustments. The C, T, R and W have been adjusted slightly, and there's also increased letter spacing. This was only used for the TV movie. However, outside of live action, this was also used for classic merch up until 2018. When Chris Chibnall brought all of the merch under the new logo's banner. There's more shine and depth to this logo, which served the 8th Doctor. I don't think this logo is particularly unique, it's very similar to a different logo. However, said logo was pretty good. Therefore, I'd give it a yes. Logo 9, 2005 to 2006. This is the first logo which proves to be only one line, and is also back to a standard background shape. It's got very spaced lettering and another shield base, but the shield is completely fresh from what we've had before. This is a very wide logo rather than a very tall logo, which we've been used to before. This one lasted from Rose through to Doomsday. However, it wasn't used on any of the merch at the time, with our next logo being used on all the merch. The 9th Doctor and 10th Doctor saw this logo used in their title sequences. I'd say this is quite unique, but again, similarly to the 1980 to 1984 one, this one's definitely missing something. The shield does look pretty ugly, and whilst I do like the font that is used, this has to go in no. Logo 10, 2006 to 2010. Ironically, the 10th logo was only used by the 10th Doctor, as it lasted from The Runaway Bride through to the End of Time Part 2. It was also used on some of the DVDs until 2014, but this logo is pretty similar to the previous one, just with some slight adjustments. There's a brighter colour scheme with white glows added onto the shield. It improves said shield and matches the merch logo which was being used for the previous 2 years. This logo is painfully recognisable, with it overseeing potentially the most popular period of Doctor Who ever. I think there's been big improvements to this logo, taking an average logo and making it seem pretty good. It stands out, it's recognisable, and whilst I shouldn't really be taking this into account, it's filled with nostalgia. The shield is still a bit rubbish, but still, I think this goes in yes. Logo 11. 2010 to 2012. This logo saw the DW added to the logo, the first addition to the logo that we've ever seen. TARDIS light appears on top of the DW and continues the one-line trends that we'd seen in the Russell T Davies era. It's a similar font to the 1970-1973 logo, but the DW has become the main focus. This logo was first used in the 11th hour, going through till The Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe, the Christmas special of 2011. The 11th Doctor was the only Doctor to use this logo, but a variation was used throughout the rest of the 11th Doctor's era and then the 12th Doctor's era. I think the DW is too big and detracts from the actual wording that we want to see, which is the Doctor Who part. There's a good base to this, but it's just not done well. I also hate the R. Why? This goes in no. Logo 12, 2012 to 2013. This logo premiered in Asylum of the Daleks and lasted through to the time of the Doctor. Each season 7 episode had a different font texture for this logo. For example, the Snowmen had snow on the font. Speaking of the font, it's been thickened slightly and a BBC logo has been added just below. There's altered colouring and slightly different theme, but the one line persists. Also, the dreaded DW has been removed. This lasted the 11th Doctor through to the end of his era, and whilst it's been adjusted, I still think it's missing something. The unique texture idea was good, but wasn't executed particularly well. I think this is still a no. Logo 13. 2014 to 2018. There were additional minor changes added when it was revealed that Peter Capaldi was taking over as the Doctor. The minor changes that were inflicted between 2013 and 2014 were to make it more bold and have a continual colouring scheme, the light blue. The typeface remains the same, but the letters are closer together. This logo lasted from Deep Breath through to Twice Upon a Time, marking the entirety of the 12th Doctor's era. And I think the minor adjustments made here have improved this logo, but the font is still a bit rubbish, and because of that, I am going to move it up slightly. Logo 14, 2018 to 2022. Once again, we saw a drastic redesign of the logo with a new production team coming in. We keep the one line once again, as has become a custom for New Who, and this time we've gone for a custom typography. This one's a modified version of Gotham typeface. There's angled serifs to some letters, as well as strokes and some distortion through the centre of the logo. As previously stated, this was the logo to replace the 1996 logo on classic merch, bringing all of Doctor Who's merchandise under one logo. It was used for the entirety of the 13th Doctor's era, from the Ghost Monument through to Power of the Doctor, with the Woman Who Fell to Earth not having the title sequence, and therefore not having the logo. This is the most recent logo we've seen on screen, with Power of the Doctor being the last episode to air at the time of recording. The logo's a bit boring, but does a lot well as well. I think it's quite recognisable on merch, and I enjoy the font, and the colouring's good as well. I'll give this one a yes. Logo 15. 2023 to present. As previously stated, this is a remake of the John Pertwee, Tom Baker logo. They've adjusted it slightly, the edges are extruding and metallic. The word Who has an illuminated border, making it stand out more. The C and T have also been adjusted on the word Doctor. Once again, we've made the Who heavier, but for the first time in the modern series. This will be the logo used in the 60th anniversary, as well as in Ncuti Gatwa's era, so it's being used from the 14th Doctor onwards. I think this is a perfect take on a classic, and I absolutely love this logo. And whilst I do understand it looks a little bit like the Paw Patrol logo, I can look past that. This one goes in there. So that's the tier list. We've got 3 in our year, and I feel pretty justified with these. I love all these logos. I think they look wonderful. In yes, we've got 4 logos. I'm a little bit concerned about the 2006-2010 one being there. However, the nostalgia just bumps it up, if I'm being completely honest. In May, we've got 3 more logos. I'm also a little bit concerned about the Capaldi logo being in there, considering I've put the 2013 Matt Smith logo and the 2010 Matt Smith logo below, and this is pretty similar to those, but I think it just scrapes through. No has 4 logos. I think I put these in the right place. And the bottom tier has just the 1 logo, the 1987 till 1989, and I feel completely justified putting it there. It's rubbish. Don't chat to me. Anyway, that's my tier list. Am I right, or am I majorly wrong? Let me know down below, or on Twitter, as I've said. I'll link that below, as well as my Instagram. What other content do you want to see from me? Let me know in the comments. Whilst you're here, why not check out one of my other videos? I put a lot of work into them, and I'd appreciate anyone giving them the time of day. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a bit.